How did my realistic anime prop get me in trouble with law enforcement? I brought my Death Note notebook replica to school on a Monday. I'd bought it at an anime convention that weekend, and it looked identical to the one from the show. Black cover, aged pages, Death Note written on the front. During lunch, I was writing names in it as a joke. Mr. Richards, who'd given me detention. Miss Craigs, who'd failed me on a test. Kyle Gunter, who'd shoved me in the hallway last week. Next to each name, I wrote fake causes of death like in the anime. Heart attack, accident, gunshot. I thought it was lighthearted until Miss Craigs walked by our table and saw her name in the notebook. Her face went still. She grabbed it from my hands. Wait, it's just a prop from anime! I tried to yell, but she was already speed-walking to the principal's office. 10 minutes later, my name crackled over the intercom. When I walked in, the principal and Ms. Craigs were already sitting there with the notebook between them. Do you think threatening students and staff is funny? I wasn't threatening anyone. It's from an anime. I don't care where it's from. You wrote Ms. Craigs and Kyle's name with gunshot next to it. Ms. Craigs' voice was shaking. This is a written threat. I was trying to explain, but they weren't listening. You're suspended for 3 days starting now. My parents picked me up. They didn't understand and just told me to do better next time. The third day of my suspension, I was at home lounging, watching TV in the living room when my phone started blowing up. Dude, turn on the news. There's a shooting at school. I turned it on and my stomach dropped. Breaking coverage. Active shooter at Warner High School. Students were running out of the building. Police everywhere. For the next 20 minutes, I was glued to the screen, watching everything unfold. By the time it was done, the shooter had escaped through the back exit. Cameras had caught him, but he was wearing a mask. The news anchor was speaking. 3 people injured. 1 fatality confirmed. I was feeling sick. Then the anchor said the name. The fatality has been identified as Kyle Gunter, 17. My blood ran cold. I'd written him in the death note. Gunshot next to his name. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the coincidence. I was lying in bed thinking, the Shinigami next to me must be cackling, eating apples right now. The next morning at 6 a.m., there was a loud knocking on our door. FBI agents were standing there with local police. The lead agent looked at me. I'm Agent Lawson. We need to speak with you about the incident at Warner High. My mom was panicking. He wasn't there. He's been suspended. But Agent Lawson's expression didn't change. We know. That's why we're here. They took me to the station. Agent Lawson sat across from me in the interrogation room and placed the death note on the table. You wrote Kyle Gunter's name with gunshot 3 days before he died from a gunshot. My voice was shaking. That was a joke. It's from an anime. You wrote the exact method of death. How did you know? I didn't. In the anime, you write how someone dies. Agent Lawson leaned forward. You had a motive. Kyle bullied you. Where were you during the shooting? My voice was shaking. Home. I was suspended. Can anyone verify that? My parents were at work. I was home alone. Agent Lawson wrote something down. So no alibi. I was getting angry. I don't even own a gun. Search my house, damn it. We already did. We found gunpowder residue on the jacket in your closet. My stomach dropped. What? That's impossible. I started to explain this had to be a setup, but Lawson cut me off. There's more. He pulled out papers. We also found your online search history. How to buy a gun without ID. I was panicking. I never searched that. It's a setup. Lawson remained firm. The searches came from your IP address. I placed my head down. Why am I actually battling L here? Agent Lawson spoke up one last time. We're preparing to press charges. He left the room. 48 hours later, I was at home under house arrest, my ankle monitor on, feeling like the real-life Light Yagami when he was in the cell. I remember wishing the notebook was actually real so I could write Lawson's name in it. At 2 p.m., my lawyer called. Get to the station now. Something's happened. We rushed to the FBI office. Agent Lawson was already waiting. Clearly writing his name hadn't worked. I was expecting the worst, but then he spoke. We found the shooter. You're cleared. My chest tightened. Wait, what? I'm free? The agent nodded. Yep. Traffic camera caught the real shooter's face. Phil Gunter. My brain froze. Who? The agent looked down. Kyle Gunter's uncle. No connection to you. My mind was spinning. Why would a 40-year-old man shoot the school? What about the gunpowder they'd supposedly found? The Google searches from my laptop. Had the FBI lied to me? A tech was removing my ankle monitor. I stared at Agent Lawson. How did all the evidence point to me? He looked frustrated. Terrible coincidence. Can't say much right now. I walked out with my parents. My lawyer later explained the gunpowder residue turned out to be from my friend's hunting jacket, and the online searches were a virus. But the crazy part was the shooter. Phil had specifically targeted Kyle because Kyle had stolen his car. Even crazier, when asked if he knew about my death note, Phil told interrogators that he didn't, but that he always hated Death Note and always thought Full Metal Alchemist was better.